gang, it's Tuesday and it's time for 5 Minutes of Truth 316. Today we're going to continue our discussion where we left off yesterday regarding the full armor of God. Remember, all of the previous videos are up and available if you've fallen a little bit behind here. Let's go ahead and get started. As always, as a measure of review, I'm going to read through the entire section up to where we are, and then we'll get into it. This all comes from the New Living Translation. All right, so it says, a final word. Be strong in the Lord and in his mighty power. Put on all of God's armor so that you will be able to stand firm against all the strategies of the devil. For we are not fighting against the authorities. We are not fighting against flesh and blood, enemies, but against the evil rulers and authorities of the unseen world. Okay? Against the mighty powers in this dark world, and against the evil spirits of the heavenly places. Therefore, put on every piece of God's armor, so that you will be able to resist the enemy in time of evil. Then, after the battle, you will still be standing firm. Stand your ground, putting on the belt of truth, the body armor of God's righteousness. For shoes, put on the peace that comes from the good news that you will be, so that you will be fully prepared. In addition to all of these, hold up the shield of faith and stop the fiery arrows of the devil. Got some more cool imagery here. Paul is again building for us a Roman soldier. Okay, we've got the belt of truth, right, that holds up everything. We've got the breastplate of righteousness, right? Then we've got the shoes of peace, which were these giant boots that came up about calf high, and they were sandals. They weren't boots, but they were giant sandals with protections about calf high. And then now we've got the shield of faith. And I love the way this is broken down. This is amazing. It says, we're going to read it one more time. In addition to all of these, hold up the shield of faith to stop the fiery arrows of the devil. Okay? So the Christian is under spiritual attack from Satan and his minions. We've already covered that. And it can get pretty ugly, right? It can get pretty ugly. And at the end of the day, our faith protects us from that. We know the good news. We know the truth. And here's the imagery. Here it is. In first century times, the Romans carried this giant shield that was covered in animal skin. Okay? It was covered in animal skin. It was metal underneath. It was covered in animal skin. And what they would do before battle is they would dip the shield and they would dip the animal skin in water, okay, to make the animal skin wet, so that when the enemy would fire would shoot these flaming arrows at them, they would hit the shields, and the animal skin, which was wet, would extinguish them. It's a fantastic analogy. It's a fantastic image of what our faith is. So what do we dip our faith in? What do we dip our faith in every day? What do we dip our faith in? The Word of God. Remember when we started this, we talked about the three things. We talked about three things. Those three things are devotion to the Word, fellowship with like-minded believers, and prayer. We dip our shield into our shield of faith, into the water of the Word. Okay. Romans chapter 10, it says, Romans chapter 10, picking up, please, in verse 17, New Living Translation, it says, so faith comes from hearing. That is, hearing the good news about Jesus Christ. But I ask, have the people of Israel actually heard the message? Yes, they have. Yes, they have. Okay, so I read through verse 18, and I'll give you the verse as I learned it. Faith comes by hearing, and hearing by the Word of God. Okay, that's key. That's key for what we're dealing with here. We dip our shield of faith in the Word. Yes, fellowship, very important. I'm going to church tonight. Very, very important to be around like-minded believers and to receive the Word from someone who's been deemed worthy, a pastor, right? To receive the Word from that. It's very important, but that's not where it stops. To have a fully functional shield of faith, you must spend time in the Word yourself daily. That's why devotion to the Word, fellowship with like-minded believers, and prayer, right? This is how we strengthen our shield of faith. So when those dark days come, we're ready. That every single one of us that's here listening and watching this video, every single one of you can point to a time in your life where it felt like the devil had the upper hand. It felt like Satan had the upper hand. Now, yes, I can raise my hand and agree to that too. There have been times in my life where I felt like the devil had the upper hand. But you know what? It was my shield of faith, my fellowship and my prayer life, and my devotion to the Word of God that God used to carry me through. So no matter how dark it gets, guys, hold up that shield of faith to extinguish the attacks of the devil. If you enjoyed that video, there's more where that came from. If you'll just hit subscribe down here in the bottom and ring the bell for me. If you'll hit subscribe and ring the bell, you'll be sure never to miss another episode. We do put these out daily. The goal and the object here is to get them out to as many people as can hear them and see them, to further the kingdom of Jesus Christ. That's what it's all about. Make it count, gang, and be blessed.